Welcome to the Metal Pit, everyone. Today we have two very special guests joining us for this very special interview. We have Chuck and John from the legendary, mighty Incantation. How's it going, guys?
Don't.
Good.
Yeah, great. It's great to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no
Likewise.
problem.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. So today's a special day, very special day. It's the release of your brand new album, Unholy Deification. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Is that
Indeed. Yep.
There we go. Cool. How you guys feeling?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of excited and stoked about everything, you know. It's a long time coming, so this is time to celebrate. It's good stuff.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely happy with the way the album came out, and just happy to finally have it released and stuff. It's just yeah, it's nice to just get it out there finally.
You know what was surprising to me about this album was kind of, in a way, it dropped out of nowhere. Like I hadn't talked to you, John, in quite a while, and I didn't even know this album was in the works. Is that kind of how you approach this one? Like, is it just
Yeah,
sort of
we're
came out of nowhere?
we're sneaky like that. Um, yeah, I
It's
don't think.
actually cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it wasn't necessarily like hush hush hidden on our end necessarily, but we also didn't really talk about it because we knew, like it wasn't, it was, I guess there was no reason to talk about it because we had so much going on and stuff with the 30th anniversary release and did a lot of touring for Sect over the last year. So it was kind of like, it just wasn't, we pretty much had it ready. Well, musically, we had it ready for a while. It took us a little while to mix it and stuff, but it wasn't, yeah, it was just like, we just get it done with, give it to Relapse and say, like, you just do with it what you do, work out the release date and all that stuff. And, yeah, we just kind of, don't really, just keep our mouth shut until we're told to talk, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
What do they
Um,
say? Loose lip sync ships.
Yes.
Absolutely, they do. They do. I kind of like it that way because it harkens back to the days when, you waited. Sometimes you waited but prior to the internet, you waited for that magical album to come out. You knew it was coming out, and we don't really get that anymore. Like I can remember going back to 1990, waiting for Megadeth's Rust in Peace to come out for like 9 months, and it was just a waiting game, and it was like, it meant more to me than Christmas. It was just like that hard date. I kept waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and you don't really get that anymore with
Yeah.
the way things are now. So I kind of like it when something drops just kind of suddenly because it's a surprise and it's like Christmas in a way, you know.
Well,
And that's and I've spun the album maybe 3 or 4 times now, and
Wow.
I have to say that it's probably my favorite album since Diabolical Conquest. Um,
Wow.
there's something about it that I don't know what it is, but it feels more complete, more together. And I'm seeing on my Facebook feed a ton of people saying kind of the same thing, like this album fucking crushes. Some people got it really early. Some people got it last Monday. They had it all week long. And I'm seeing people saying like, wow, this album is fucking crushing. Like it's one of my favorite albums in a long time. Um, so on that note, uh, how has the reception been? I mean, I know it's only been out there for a day, but as far as like the label, as far as like friends, as far as people who've heard it, what kind of feedback were you getting prior to the release?
Well, I mean, I even received a call from Alex from Immolation, John and I's mutual friend, and
and former band member. It's important.
Alex Books. Yeah.
Yes.
why I didn't say that is beyond me. But yes,
It's an important note there.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
I don't know why either. I didn't just say that. Anyways,
I want to keep it
point
under
being is,
wraps. You don't want people to know it was him. They say like, "I like the album, but don't tell anybody."
but
Hush, hush. Yeah.
You know, like when it comes to, you know, friends, former bandmates, that you value their opinion, whether it's positive, negative, or whatever.
Mhm.
And he said that it feels as if a new life has been breathed into the band. And he said that he hadn't heard anything like that in quite a while, that he's strayed from like casual listening a lot. And he said, you reminded me of why I love death metal.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, you know, what do you say to that, right? It hits home, and that meant a lot. You know, it's difficult to put yourself into another perspective, because we only, I think we only see it as, you know, the application, the construction of it, and you know, and of course the delivery of it. Then you can never really truly foresee or anticipate that kind of reaction. It's going to be positive, negative, however anybody else perceives it. But we
Right.
knew that we enjoyed what we did, and to hear that coming back from your friends, you know, and contemporary as well, and it's it's been overtly positive in some angles.
Mhm.
Um, I have heard some negativity, you know, but then again, it's from people I believe that don't necessarily like what we do anyway. So why they would devote the time and effort in order to pursue something that they already at face value would have been like, no, I don't want to hear that, is probably a testament to them, because they were willing to, you know, muscle through it. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
uh,
Slog through it.
but for all the majority, I would say that it's very humbling and pretty amazing how
Yeah,
positive it's been. It's nice.
I'd like to add that, yeah, Alex also contacted me as well on
Mhm.
that. And yeah, it was really nice to get a message from him that was so positive, you know. I mean, when I know, you know, just knowing Alex, you know, it's just great to know that he really enjoyed it and that he went out of his way to let me know about it, which, you know, because he's very opinionated and very sincere about the music he likes. So, you know, if he lets you know something about it, he pretty much tells you the truth. If he really didn't like it, he wouldn't like
Yeah.
just give me pleasantries about it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
He has a discriminating taste in a lot of ways, and that's something that we value anyway. I mean, if you don't like it, you don't have
Yeah,
Yeah.
to,
and
you know? And but to hear that from him, it meant a lot.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think in general, it's like, I mean, just an overall sense, the style of music that we play, we realize that it's like a niche style and not everybody is going to like it. I mean, that it was never the intent for everybody to necessarily like it. Even in the death metal realm, it was, you know, we knew that we were making music that was made for, I mean, I know it sounds like, I don't know, arrogant or something, but like the advanced listener, like someone that's really, really into music and into death metal, into really getting stuff dark or whatever. It's not made necessarily for someone that is like a death metal light person, or you know wants the status quo, or whatever, you know. I mean, if anybody that's like um expecting like some crazy, like, holy crap, I can't believe they did this kind of thing or whatever, it's just really ridiculous. I mean, it's like, you know, when I hear that, it kind of makes me laugh, because it's like, yeah, that's just ridiculous. Why are we going to do something that is like totally outside of our wheel well? I mean, if we were going to do something different, we would do another band. It's like it's always going to have some of the traits of what the band is made of, and like our DNA and stuff. And of course, we try to do things a little differently. And you know, there's a reason, in my opinion, for the songs to exist or whatever. That it's not just rehashing or whatever. But you know, you're never going to get everybody to agree on it, especially because our stuff is so diverse. I mean, we get people that think only our fast stuff is great, and only people that think only our slow stuff is great.
Mm.
So it's always going to be somewhat divisive. But the thing that's great about it is that the response for people that really understand the style of music that we do and really like the band, really, I think really are in, really like it or into it. I mean, of course, we had a lot of new people that got into the band for the Sect of All Divinities album because it was a very, for us, it was a very easy to listen to death metal album for us. It was probably our easiest for like almost like it sounds arrogant, but like a novice to listen to and enjoy off first listen. So some of those people might be a little turned off by the fact that we kind of, in our eyes, corrected the trajectory of the band and
Mhm.
had more darkness, more heaviness to the mix,
So
which
I was just going to ask you what, I mean, this kind of answers maybe that question. What's different about Unholy Deification? Uh,
for my
Hmm.
part, it was just I was, I mean, I don't want to like Sect of All Divinities did great for us, and I do like the songs on the album. I
Mhm.
just was not comfortable with the production from day one, and even towards the end of tracking, I just felt like something was missing on the album for for me personally. So I went right into kind of writing mode almost immediately after tracking and started working on some of the more aggressive stuff. Try to. I felt like I needed to express more chaos, even
mhm.
though it took like 3 years for the album to come out. It's like this is like immediate for me personally. It's like an immediate answer to Sect, and even when the whole process of going to the release of the songs from Sect and stuff, I was really insecure about the whole thing because I was really it got to the point where I felt like we just had to get that album done with and out there and move on, and the fact that it went so well, it was a pleasant surprise and I wasn't really expecting that. So we totally appreciated it and stuff. It's not that we weren't happy about it, but it was just a little bit off-putting too because I really felt like the production on that album is not the right production for us, and but people liked it so much that it's just like, well, maybe I'll just shut up, and like it's like if people like it, they like it, and it's like just because I'm uncomfortable with it a little bit, and it took me a while, and I'm used to it now, and I'm fine with it. But at the time, I was very self-conscious about it. So the whole time, I think writing this stuff, in my mind personally, I was like, I don't want what happened last time to happen this time because if we put on an album, I want the expression that we have as a band to be represented in a way that I'm proud of it when it's out. It's like, yeah, of course you want other people. It's great when other people like it and stuff, but I want to be proud of it, And
Yeah,
it's like, and I know that having the more heavier, rougher production is going to segregate people because not everyone's into the more, quote unquote cavernous sound or the more raw sound. They want to hear a nice slick production and stuff, but that's just not us. And in my opinion, I just don't want to go back to anything over slick. I'd rather just take the time and really make sure that it has that girth to the sound. It has to be overbearing. It just, so the bottom line is I'm super, super excited about this album because it did come out the way, um, you know, personally I envisioned, and I think the band envisioned in general.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and I'm really happy. And to, to move on from my personal issues or whatever, uh, the album in general was just made in such a better environment as far as the band goes because we were all on the same page in the band. Luke's contribution to everything and just his presence made everything really great. And we really were able to gather like, well, it wasn't just like four buds. We were four friends doing an album together, writing songs, coming up with stuff. It was like everybody's contribution to stuff was making the songs better and better as we were working on them and stuff. So it was just great to have everybody on the same page and knowing what, you know, adding stuff and making things better. So, I mean, of course, Chuck and Kyle and myself, we worked together for a while, but you can't underestimate the importance of having the 4 people invested in it and thinking in the right mind frame for an album. It just helps out the process and really makes, like, it just, we'll put it this way, it's like with Luke, it's like I was leads, it was like every time he did a lead for something, it was just right. The first time it was right. And if anything changed from the first time, it was because he had a better idea that he wanted to do. And
It's
we were
true.
just like, well, I don't know. I like this one. It's fucking great. And then he comes up with something better. You're like, oh, okay. Well, I can't
Oh.
argue there, And
Yeah.
it's so nice to have that because, it really gets tiring to struggle and, have somebody come in and play stuff and be like, I don't know, it's like, you don't want to hurt their feelings, by
Yeah.
it doesn't work, but you're like, it just is not working out, So having 4 people in the band that are like just doing it and doing it right is fucking cool as
Is
fuck.
this the first time that's happened in a while? The four of you writing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
contributing?
I
Yeah.
mean, we always do that, I would say, it's like our general forte, but we haven't had this kind of chemistry since like probably the Vanquish era. From that guy Alex that was in Immolation or
Some guy, you don't know who he is.
I can't remember his name.
I don't know that guy.
You talk to the dude every week. I can't remember his last name. This dude Alex, just
Yeah,
whatever
that guy.
on the street.
He's gonna watch this and he's gonna yell at me. But to reiterate, I guess what John was saying too is that, like, during the sect era and everything, everybody's their own worst critic. You know what I mean? And by the time the things are finalized, you start to second guess and start to think differently. So that was the approach when it came to Unholy Deification. And it was seamless. It was a very, very easy transition. Having Luke with session work and everything for all those years, and then becoming a member, just like seamless. So by the time the Sect of Vile Divinities came out, just like John was saying, is that it was everybody's their own worst critic, and we kind of didn't expect it to be the success that it did become, but it was also the motivation for what became Unholy Deification. And having Luke involved, was a seamless transition, truly. He had been a live member for at least 5 years at that point, up until that point. So to carry over right over, it just was the natural thing to do. And when it came to the writing, it proved itself a thousandfold. His work and approach to writing, contribution, harmony, solo, even his technical abilities, for crying out loud. Like, he's benefited and refreshed, our band dichotomy in a lot of ways, and it's something to take notice of.
That's awesome.
You
That's
know,
awesome.
we're really grateful to have Luke a part of the band. He was kind of the missing piece that we're looking for a while. I mean, not to say that the other stuff that we did, in the last couple albums is not good, but I definitely, the process was way better, way cooler, way easier, way more fluid. Like, everything worked out better, just because of having him there,
Yeah, I
instead
mean,
of,
it doesn't diminish the previous 2 albums by any stretch. Like, I hope it doesn't come across that way, but it is that it's a revitalizing, environment now, to have him there, and it is the 4 of us, and that's something to be happy with, because it doesn't happen too often that you get the same mindset, the same influence, the same fire. I
Right.
guess is probably the best way to say it.
And John, I want to ask you, this current lineup, and this current album, um, I want to going back to the early days of Incantation. How does it compare to you?
How does
you
it
know, to
compare?
Onward, to you know, those albums, like where things are at now and where things are at then. Are you feeling a similar type of chemistry as to what you felt back in the early days, or is there any
Yeah,
type of connection there?
it's, I would say it's very similar. Like the band kind of struck gold when, we got the Onward Golgotha lineup. It was a similar situation where everybody was really motivated and really on the same page. There's similarities to that for sure, and it was the same thing, around the say before Vanquish and Vengeance too. It was very very things very natural, it's like the vibe was really good. Everything was just really, really firing on all cylinders, and it's great to have that full band unity. I mean, of course, there's kind of myself. We always, were productive and got along and had a great chemistry working together. But, you know, it was always difficult because even the years that when it was like myself, Kyle, and Joey Lombard, it was like we always had a problem finding that fourth person to kind of complete it. And the thing is for this band to be probably the best that it could be, it really needs to have all four people on the same page. Like, and I mean, I like a lot of the albums. I mean, I like all the albums, especially the ones we did with Kyle and Joey. But they would have benefited from having another guitar player that was on the same page, because what happened, I mean, even, like I said, even though I like those songs, I think there's a little bit of little lacking only because like I was starting to do vocals, trying to learn how to do that. I'm doing the rhythm guitars, trying to do some harmonies on top of it. And it loaded me up with a lot of stuff that I had to do on my own. I mean, Kyle definitely helped out a lot. I mean, he used to coach me on vocals. He did a lot of stuff, but still it would have been nice to have another guitar player that was like on the same page as us, like Luke or something would have been great, because then we could have really it would have took some of the workload off of all of us, because that's kind of what happens. And it also gives like a fourth perception of the songs, and that helps too, because you want to have as much criticism from everybody and as much input from everybody as possible in it. And the reason why the chemistry like this works so well, especially now, is because we're all very unselfish on writing this stuff and working together. We work together as a team, and we all realize that not all of our ideas are going to be great, and we have to be, sometimes we need a little bit of pushback on something, or we need to listen to somebody, you need to listen to somebody besides yourself all the time, you
Right.
can't, even if you feel strongly about something, it's like somebody might have a strong argument for something, and it's good to have that kind of stuff involved. I think now we have the communication and everything and songwriting is really great. I mean, it was really great early on. It was easier early on because it just seemed to, well, I wouldn't say easier. Let's say the Golgotha lineup was very fluent. It just worked. Somehow it just worked. Trying to look back on it, it's hard to even say how it worked. We were just all hungry and young and just wanted to do it. And it just, like, maybe it helped because we were still kind of crafting our sound and stuff like that. So it was really open to everybody's interpretation, input and stuff. But like now to have everybody's contribution in the band and have, I mean, our communication for writing stuff and working on stuff is the best it's ever been. And like I said, the input that people have, like I said before, is just phenomenal. It's just such, I can't emphasize enough how much of a pleasure it is to hear somebody's work on a song, a part that they come up with, or just a way they play something, or a lead, or whatever it is, a vocal idea, and have it be like, fuck, that's fucking great. It's what I
That's
didn't even
awesome.
think about that, and it's like, and but it still fits in the whole thing in all of our minds perfectly. It's not like, oh, that's way out there, I'm not sure about this. No, you can hear it right away, especially Luke's contributions. You hear it right away, be like, oh, that's fucking great. It's even on the live situation where we're really able to be honest about the songs. We can play the songs, even the old songs or new songs, could play them with honesty of now and not just trying to replicate something in the past. And you'll notice, I mean, everybody adds their own little things here and there, and that's helps make the songs honest to everybody now when witnessing them live. I mean, and speaking of Luke, I mean, his lead work live, he just has such a great intuition on where to go with stuff, and it just makes sense. And even if he does something slightly different than what's there, it's like it just makes total sense, and it doesn't seem forced. It just fluent. It's
Feels
natural.
right.
Fuck,
There's it's a compliment to the songs, because like, even whether it be like, a newer era, older, whatever the discography pinpoint that he approaches, he'll just come up with something like, I think I want to do a bend here, and you'll hear it, on stage and go, what was that? And it's not like it was offensive in any way. It just added to it. And then you get off stage and you're like, what the hell was that? And he goes, oh, I don't know, I just thought it'd be cool there. And you're like, it is cool there. Tomorrow.
That's the
keep
thing.
doing that. Keep doing that. Yeah.
That's the thing, though. It's like, but you don't. The worst thing could be someone goes and does something live, and you're like, ew, what was that? That sucks, And like, it really sucks to have that conversation at the show. Be like, please don't do that again. That was really bad.
Yeah.
But the thing is that with Luke, that doesn't happen. It's like, no, because he's playing with emotion, and it's like
He's just feeling it.
That
He's
emotion.
just feeling
He's
it.
almost expressing how we feel without even
doing anything.
It's
like
when he does it, it's like, fuck yeah, that's exactly how I feel right now.
That's
like,
cool.
It's like a big fuck you to everybody. Like, he'll do this cool fucking bend to, and it'll be like middle fingers up everywhere. Like, yes, that's great.
I always repeat this example because it was so out of the blue, and he just, that fucking guy. So we were playing with Reed St. Mark, and we did Dethrone Emperor and Circle of Tyrants. And we're playing the song, and that, like, that squeal that comes in the Tumegatheron version of Circle of Tyrants. He emulated that on stage.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And he didn't do
he didn't plan for that, right?
You know what I mean? It just, and he just, and when he did it, I went, son of a bitch. And we get off stage and he goes, oh yeah, I had to.
That's amazing.
I was like, of course you had to. I was like, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So it's like little things like that go a long way.
Yeah.
It's very impactful, and
it's nice. I mean, it kills me because, I probably couldn't do that if I fucking tried my hardest. It would fail miserably, but he just does it on a whim, and it sounds like it just fits in perfectly. I'm just like, wow, that was fucking cool,
Like,
Yeah.
where'd that come from? Yeah, no, it's good stuff, man.
Nice to have young blood. He's fairly young, right? Compared to you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's 31 now.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah.
32.
Um,
Yeah.
so I wanted to ask this album in particular, it does seem a bit doomier, overall, and that's a good thing in my opinion. There's a lot of slower parts, a lot of real fucking crushing heaviness. Do you guys, did you guys plan for that? Or as you mentioned, John, earlier, it's hard to please everybody. There's people who like the fast stuff, there's people who like the slow stuff. When approaching Unholy Deification, did you have to strike some sort of balance? Was that in your mind when you were writing that, we need to have this amount of fast shit, we need to have this amount of slow shit, or was that not even a concern?
No, that's never we don't put a template up in order to accommodate certain amounts of either heavy or
Yeah.
slow.
Right.
It is a natural aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that it was a lot of people brought up, and I don't really know the album that well, but he said that it kind some of the stuff kind of reminded, at least the heavier, doomier stuff, reminded them of like a monotheist type sound to like a Celtic Frost-ish, which I don't know that album that well. I only know it a little bit because that's like my least favorite of
Right.
heavy
Yeah.
Celtic Frost albums. I don't really listen to that much, but I actually do really like the Triptychon stuff. So maybe it's more of I would say maybe more of a Triptychon, if anything, because at least I kind of listen to that. But
It could very well just be the production this time around. It just there's a there's a heaviness to it that was lacking from, and you spoke on it. It's a bit
yes,
rougher, a bit darker
well,
than Sect, right?
That
So
was definitely a directive, obviously. But as I mean, to be honest, I think some of the highlights that I think of in the writing process and the like ended up being on the faster side. But you know, there is a total like balance in a lot of ways with this. I guess now that I pulled myself out of the equation, hearing your opinion in regards to it, it's that yes, there is a fair amount of doom, and they are the longer tracks that are
yeah,
within it as well. I guess I didn't see it in that way, but it's
well,
not to say there's right or wrong. It's just that I didn't consider it.
I think there's I mean, the only thing I would say that we do when writing is the album is just like listening to the songs we have and then being inspired by them and what else does this album need,
mhm,
but I don't think it's only that's like a natural thing because anytime you make an album, you got to think of, at least for us, I can't speak for other bands, but for us, it's like, okay, how's the journey of the album going to go? Like
Sure.
what peaks and valleys are going to be there, as far as, and so I think that aspect of it, yeah, of course, we think about it, but we don't necessarily think about it as a overall like what people are going to think necessarily
mhm.
because um
It
I
really
think if
doesn't
we
shape the
were
writing process. You know what I
yeah
mean?
if we were worried about what people were going to think, I mean,
Well, yeah, yeah.
it would be playing a lot more different stuff than what we're doing, so we
Sure.
really that aspect isn't it's more for our own journey or whatever, but you know i I think, yeah, the production on the album definitely accents the heavy doomy stuff well, and I think kind of the heavy doomy stuff definitely stands out in a good way.
Mhm.
I seen a comment somewhere saying that all our Doom stuff pretty much sounds the same or whatever, you know, and it's like
Well,
I'm like I I mean there's going to be some similarities. I don't know what people are going to expect. It's like you're supposed to just out of nowhere come from a totally different angle of Doom or something, or just a riff style in general. It's like it's just not going to happen. Of course, there's going to be things that are similar, but for us and for people that like us, they're going to appreciate the fact that there's similarities. Because do you really want to listen to any band you like and have no similarities to the previous stuff that you liked? I mean, that's just like that's part of the DNA of any band.
you had brought up earlier when you were saying like what are the differences that are within the album. Well, there's a number of them, but the thing is that are they like extreme advances of like kazoo solos? No, you're not going to get that. But there is a number of qualities that are within this album in particular that have actually never been done before, like gang vocal portions and things like that. The type of intro that was created for Megaron, hearing Megaron itself is actually Luke's song, so you're never going to hear that actually ever, until now. So there is a number of things that are like wholly unique to this particular recording.
Mhm.
And you know if you deviate too much, or if it loses its structure. And that's just personally speaking.
We're not going to just do something different because we're worried that people are going to listen to it and be like, well, you didn't change enough or whatever. You know, you have to do what the song needs. It's about crafting good songs. It's not about, crowd pleasing. And was it Mariah from Psy, when they put out their new album, I really liked his comment about it, because he just said he's just waiting for everybody to complain that they either, changed so much from the beginning and now they're, whatever, like I'm paraphrasing, but it's like kind of like they're posers now, or they haven't changed enough and they sound too much like the old way. It's like it's basically no matter what you do, people are going to find something that you didn't do enough of. But
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is like, first of all, you're never going to please everybody with it anyway. And it's like, and you have to do what's in your heart with writing songs. You can't be considered, you can't make these decisions based on what other people think. And another thing I thought was interesting too, which I read in one review, was that they said that they thought it was a risky move for us to put out this album right after, so close to Sect of All Divinities, which was such a great album for us, and their opinion. And it's like, huh? Really? I mean, that's not even a thought. Is like, oh, we have Sect of All Divinities. People like that. So let's not do anything else because we're going to get judged forever on. No, it's
Is
like,
that what they meant by saying that? Like, in other words, we would not write or further ourselves, that we would just halt until people didn't like Sect anymore, I guess?
well, it's basically like the thing is you put on an album that gets a good quote unquote commercial, yeah, reception from people, and to do something new that is risky right after that is risking, you know, making the fans unhappy, that are fans of your last album. It's a concept that I think is absolutely ridiculous. And
Yeah.
for any band to not release something because they're scared that they're not going to match up to the thing they did before. I mean, anybody that's released more than one album knows that when you record stuff, no matter what you do, it's people are gonna say it's not the first album, or once the second, you do the third one, they're like it's not the second album or the first one anymore. No matter, the more you do, the more you open yourself up to criticism from somebody because there's something that you do that they like you didn't include on this or whatever. But to not do it because you're worried about the what people would think is like 100% opposite of why we do. We'd almost, if anything, we would put out another album just to be a dick right after it. If anything, we would do it to
If we
provoke.
could have put it out sooner, that would have been awesome.
Yes, exactly.
Well, how long's it been? How long's it been since Sect? I can't remember. It's
It's
been
3 years, I
3
think.
years,
3
3 years.
years. Okay.
And
Yeah.
I wanted, I mean, honestly, if it was up to me, we would have had this album out like right after, like, because I was like I told you, I was really concerned about Sec, where I thought it was just, you know, not as heavy as I wanted it. Like I didn't, not the songs, but production wise. So I was really self-conscious. So for me, it was like the sooner we can get out the next album, the better, because I want an album that, you know, I could be proud of. It's more important for me to be proud of the album and for the band to be proud of it than to have the commercial success of something that your whole, you know, felt was held back a little bit, you know. And I don't blame
Like, why do
it,
people do bands? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think, well, I think sometimes people that review it, they lose sight of the real reason, you know, people do it, because a lot of people that review stuff are academics, and a lot of people making music are artists. So there's a different way of thinking of things, you know. It's like it's not strategically planned out that we're going to do, we're trying to make an album that's going to do better necessarily than the last album. It's about expressing what we felt maybe it wasn't expressed properly on the last album, and then
Hmm.
express what we want to express now with the music and what we feel from the songs that we have, what needs to be done. So it's just funny because when you hear either people that don't understand the mind of a musician or an artist, they try to come up with these um, what I consider like just retarded ways of um, why bands should do stuff. It's like, no, we don't all do this just because we want to crowd please. You know, I mean, of course it's nice when people like this stuff, but it's not about trying to write songs that everybody is going to like. It's about writing songs that are an expression of ourselves and what makes us who we are as a band. If
Hmm.
we want to do a band that's going to be more of a crowd pleaser type band, you know, we'll just start a band that's a crowd pleaser type band. We'll cherry pick all our favorite parts from all the songs in the past and make some new songs, and then we could crowd please. But we're not. That's, you know, some bands
It
do that,
defeats the purpose.
and that's great.
Yeah.
But for us, it's the creating it is a good thing. And one thing I want to bring up too beforehand that's important is that because I complain about the production on Sect of All Divinities, it's not a bad production. It's just not, it's cleaner than I would prefer. And I don't blame you know, Stan Swano for it, you know, or anything, because he did mix the album. He mixed this one too. It was just that you know, my part in it I blame on myself, because I was just not in the right frame of mind at the time to um mix the album, and I got personally, I got very frustrated with the whole process of the Sect of All Divinities, that when it came time to mixing it, I was just like, I don't know. I don't, fuck, you know, whatever. Just, I was just like, let's just, you know, whatever. If this is good, if, you know, Dan Swan knows what he's doing, just fucking do it or whatever. Let's just move on. You know, I was already thinking ahead of myself to this album. So, and it was a weird situation because the album did really well for us. And I was just like, fuck.
Yeah.
So is me not giving a fuck about how the production is like the key to our success? That's wrong. That's not right.
Yeah, it was
It
very
really,
bizarre for all of us, really, because it was like when the reactions became like overwhelming, it was like, really? I mean,
yeah,
I know that sounds horrible, but it was the genuine reaction from all four of us. Were like, really? And yeah, so it really took us aback.
and it's a difficult situation to be in because I stand behind the songs that are on that album and they're great. And I think the live performance of those songs are great. And even listening back, I could listen to them, and I think it's a great album. It's not how I would like it to sound, but I got used to it. But at the time, you know, it was very on our mind. And I remember even when we first released the song Propitiation, I was just like, okay, I'm ready for it, you know, because I knew that, like, I was ready for people to really slag it and say, negative stuff about it. And I was just like, it's okay. I'm prepared for it. And it got totally the opposite. I mean, I remember meeting up at practice to either do some of the video stuff or whatever. And we're all just like, okay, let's get this done. It's like, not that we hate the songs, like I said, but we're just like, we're listening to it. We're just like, it just doesn't sound 100% the way we would prefer to have it sound. And it's weird, and I don't want to blame people that like it, because I think it's great, and I understand why people like it, but I also understand why people wouldn't like the album too. And it's like, just because I'm more in the crowd of not liking the album because of its production doesn't mean that I, dislike the album. In fact, I think it's great. And the fact that it was like, probably our best selling album that we've had, if anything, since our first album, or Diabolical Sect, was pretty much like the highest charting. Everything for us was like the best it's ever been. So it's like, well, okay, I'm not going to complain. It went well, and that's great. But you do want to have that personal satisfaction. And with
Absolutely.
this album, we have that personal satisfaction. And it's like, of course, we want people to really like it. It's great if they do. I mean, if they don't, it's fine too. But we like it. We're happy with it. We're proud of it. And that's what's important. And I think that people that really like the band and understand the band are really able to enjoy the album too, because I think it embodies everything that is Incantation. And we all took a lot of time to make sure the mix was the kind of mix that we wanted for the band. It wasn't, I mean, it was a minimum of like 6 to 8 months of back and forth with mixes to try to get something that we like. Because once I got it to be like as heavy as I wanted to be, maybe there was a problem with the drums or something, or a bass wasn't showing up. We had to try to keep going back and forth, but we put in that work to make sure that the production this time was what we like. And of course, it's not an easy production for most people to enjoy. Most people want to hear that pristine, clean production, but also a lot of those people aren't, they're not on the same page as us with.
Well, I wonder how many of those new fans you made from the last album will even discern that difference, going into this album. Like, of course, maybe
Probably
your hardcore. Yeah. As long as the songwriting is up to par, and I think it is on this album, it's incredible. I want to switch over to, let's talk about the themes on the album, Chuck, as far as lyrics and, the significance of the title. You've been kind of the guy who takes care
He's
of
the
that.
guy.
Yeah, he's the guy. I love the title name. I love the artwork. I love the song titles. So can you give us a quick synopsis of where your head was at with this album?
So I remember, well, not I remember, but we did Dirges of Elysium, and it was my first attempt at a major overall concept. And the idea originally was I was thinking actually like a 10-inch record of like 3 songs each to make these 6 chapters that are Dirges of Elysium into like an all-encompassing release. And it turned into a magnum opus. So now this time it was, let me approach it a little bit more, and do 10 chapters. So it is the evolution or the transition of immortality into celestial. So it is a man becoming a god, the whole like Deus Divus kind of, platform. And every stage is, or every chapter has elements of ritual magic. So it's everything from altars and ritual circles and chalices and appeasing elemental forces as male and female in order to create a homunculus, which was like one of our singles. And that is the very vessel in which the alkalite, embodies. Concordat, the first single, is actually the first chapter of the concept, and that is the alkalite calling upon a spiritual guide or a spectral guide. And with their pact or concordat, they're bleeding, and that process creates a double helix, which, being the building blocks of life, is also the building blocks of unlife. So it is that culmination of all of that becomes the deity in which you see on the cover. And because you can never really fully formulate the deity in and of itself. It's the culmination of horns and tails and all kinds of demonologies and witches and hags and sirens, and it's so much that it has to be essentially amorphic, and it becomes this embodiment of evil that all life has to pass through it in order to reach oblivion, and that is what you see on the cover. The whole journey has Roman numerals at the end. So we felt, collectively, we felt that the music demanded that it flows in the way that we originally intended to present it to everybody.
Mhm.
So with the numbers being out of place, folks have actually, been asking in regards to it. And it's that if you put that in a sequential order and read along with it, then you are digging deeper into the concept. And that is one particular way in order to experience the album. But the journey we had originally intended is through the music and how it is presented on the CD. So perceive it or experience it how you will, but I guarantee that you will have a journey through it.
Awesome. And as far as promotional videos, can we expect anything? And how will those come into play with the themes of the album? Is there any, or do you guys have any plans specifically?
Well, the singles ended up being that very vehicle for that.
Right.
But apart from it, I can't say. I don't know. Unless there was something that I was unaware of, John.
No, I don't know.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. that is what it is then. Yeah.
And it's the same cover artist, correct? The same artist you're working with for the
Indeed.
cover? Okay.
Ellerin Cantor and
Yeah.
I have been like, I guess we're working since Sturges, and we will present a series of like different concepts and even down to mock-ups and the things like that. And he then culminates that into one cohesive, piece. And he's a master of his craft. He knows his direction, flow, all of those things that.
So these are original works for the album, right?
Indeed,
Yeah. Okay.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
And he's exceptional at what he does. I'm sorry, I'm looking at like the covers on my wall. But it's that, those kind of his willingness to work with us, his ability to be patient. It's impressive. So it's an honor to work with him.
He did a great job. Yeah, it was just, I think it helped that it was a single theme album, so really able to concentrate on the whole concept of it really well. I think he blew my mind with how sick it came out. It only had a couple of major revisions, and then it was just like, oh wow, yeah, this is sick. Just the vibe of it.
In years past, it's like, I have each individual song as its own beginning, middle, end story. So you're presenting him with like 10 stories.
Right.
It's overwhelming. It's too much. And when you try to add elements of every single one of those into an all-encompassing piece, abstract or not, 10 elements into one cover, that's pretty brutal. So we really pushed his limits, I'd imagine, at earlier times, but now it's just one, simply put. And you can see it. He did a great job.
He killed it.
Yeah, I guess going back to the point on the promotional videos, I'm thinking back to the last album, and Entrails of the Hag Queen. It was such a kind of a conceptual video. Are you guys thinking of doing anything similar to that? Because that video seemed to be more in line, I guess, with the overall ethos of the album, and it had all the visual elements that kind of really cemented it for me. Will we be seeing anything like that?
So the Concorded video is the first chapter.
Yep.
And the Invocation video is the 10th chapter. So it literally is the beginning and end of the story. And all-encompassing concept. So if you see in the beginning the Alkalite calling upon that entity and performing all those different aspects, that by the end of it, that this entity is essentially out of nonlinear time. It's omnipresent. So it's always been there. It just took for that Alkalite to carry forth this journey in order to become outside of time. So when you watch Invocation, you'll see all of the elements of worship and idolization, sacrifice, all the things that feed this deity through belief and its own cults, that it's always been there. So there's eras of Roman history and Greek history and all the different stages and empires of the world that had that as a focal point. That was their belief system.
We're run out of time here. We're gonna,
Okay.
yeah, we're down to about 2 minutes. So,
2-minute warning. Okay.
yeah. I want to thank you very much for spending this time with me. I'm going to make this a two-parter. It's we got a lot of content here, so I think it'd be really cool to split things up and run a couple of these. So thanks so much and congratulations on the album again. I'm looking forward to seeing all the reviews that come out over the next month or so, and really looking forward to the tour coming up. And again, congrats and thanks so much for continuing to do what you do.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, man.
It's always great to chat with you, and it's been just too long since we've seen you, so hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you in Toronto for sure.
Beauty, eh?
Cheers. Bye,
care.
guys.
See you, man.
Thanks. You guys
Cheers,
take
eh?
care.
All right. Bye.
Yeah.